Welcome to Carlie's Couch.
Lex got jokes.
Not like the jokes you just had a minute ago.
You right.
All right.
How y'all doing? How you feeling?
They better be glad we had technical difficulties again. But I might be able to pull the files back together so I can show y'all who Carlie really is. And how she talked about my mom earlier.
Oh my God.
And how what else did you do? And how she threw her phone at stuff in like a bout of anger.
I underhand lightly
that's how the news works. That's how Fox News works. Just twist this whole story, but it is what happened. But I'm
you
just adding
twist
extra
the
facts.
entire story. Yeah, fake news. Lex is spreading fake news. She overhand chunked her phone, and I lightly underhand tossed my phone, and it just bounced up and hit a vacuum cleaner because clearly it has other plans for its life.
It's all good as long as your phone is protected.
But we had hella technical difficulties, so we're just happy to be here. Oh, well, let me speak for myself. I'm just happy to be here. Everything is up and running.
Right, I am too. But hopefully everybody's doing well. We appreciate all the cool ass reviews we've been getting and the thoughtfulness.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's been a lot. So we appreciate all of that. But today, I think we're in a more chill space than like what the last few episodes have been about, like burnout and work and all of that. But today, what we're going to talk about is based on a question. So I was thinking
Dun, dun, dun.
a couple of weeks ago about, a couple of stories, which I'll probably get into in the episode. But the question is, what do you want? And so we want to talk about being clear about what you want, stating what you want, and not just out of life, but like literally, like what do you need right now? Like what clients do you want right now? What do you want? And so we're going to talk about that and why sometimes it's difficult for us to be straightforward about that and what can happen when you are straightforward about it. Mm-hmm. So Carlie, if you don't have anything else with the intro, I'm going to get right into it.
Nah, you hit them with it.
Like you hit them eyelids up with that with that eyeliner today
over
here.
Lips with that,
looking low key smoky.
Hey,
she got the little low key smoky eye over here. So Carlie, let's get right to it.
Okay.
If I were to ask you this question, how would you answer? What do you want?
Right now?
I guess. Like literally right now. Like, so there could be different categories. Let's start with like in business. What do you want? Like right now, if you could have what you need to do what you're trying to do, what do you want?
Oh, okay. So that's a very good question. And it's hard to answer, which I'll get into a little bit later. But specifically for my company, I do a lot of hustles. I have a lot of hustles. But my company is Holistically Dope with the Holistic Health and Wellness Programming and capital, actually. Some influx of capital to help me add more curriculum, either for schools or businesses, to finish working on my beta test so I can gather all of my data and figure out what my program actually does versus what I think it does and what data looks like right now. So some type of either angel investor or grant program or way to get the capital that I need in to start the programming. Well, not start the programming, but to continue the programming.
Either one of those works, though, if it was an investor or a grant?
But I was, either one works, but I was specific to say angel investor because I don't want to give up any of my company. Okay. Because I feel like with social enterprises and for companies that are focused on impact, the moment you turn over your ownership or part of your ownership, you have shareholders that you're accountable to. And a lot of times shareholders, when they invest their money, they want their money back, and money becomes more important than the focus, which I want to make money, which is why my company is not just not a nonprofit, it is a social enterprise. But I feel like there's a way to make money and make a difference. But that's why I said angel investor. So someone who just wants to further programs in the community who are making a difference and who actually have people in the community's best interests in their hearts.
So if you need that capital, what do you want as far as, like, what would you do with that? So do you want more? Do you want employees? Do you want a space? Do you want, like, what do you want as far as that? What you would do with those things?
No, what the funding would allow me to do would be to teach all of those programs for myself until I can figure out what my model actually does. I'm not comfortable like teaching other people because I'm not sure yet. And so in the beta phase of my company, I'm doing all the teaching. And the reason why I say I need the funding is because, I'm out here hustling, trying to make a living.
So you're saying you need the funding for you, for your, not necessarily like for your time, but you want the funding to be able to say, I can focus on this one thing because this is paying me to do it. Okay.
Yeah, way to see through all of that to actually get down to what it is.
Yeah, because I guess why I wanted to ask this question of what do you want is because, like, what are you, like, what is something, like, even somebody listening, they'd be like, oh, I could do that, or I have that, or I know, somebody who might want to invest in that. So I really want to get down to, like, even with the money, because, like, what do we want? Like, obviously I want money. Like, we all need the money.
Yeah.
But, like, what things do you want in that? How can dots be connected, I guess, to get to that, like, end goal?
Yeah, and I mean, in that sense, it doesn't have to just be an angel investor who's like going to write this magical check, like on Blank Check, which was one of my favorite Disney movies because I always wanted a blank check.
That was Disney?
It was on the Disney Channel. I think it was a Disney original movie. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Screenshot me.
I think it was a movie that was like out though. Blank Check. That with that little boy.
I thought it was Disney. We'll have to
I mean, it might be
source.
Disney, but I think it was at the theater.
It might have been, but I don't remember.
That was back in the day when we had Blockbuster, and I'm pretty sure like probably just went and rented it. So I don't know where it came out originally. But go ahead.
Yeah, but something like that. Or if anybody has like connects with schools, after school programs, or companies that need holistic health and wellness programming. Mm-hmm. I'm about that life. Let's connect.
Who connect? I'm sorry.
Anybody, if they have connects in schools.
To schools.
After school programs or in companies. People who work with their holistic health and wellness programming, typically that falls under HR. Some people actually have a separate board for it. It just depends on the company, like where that falls in a company.
Okay. Is that all you can think of for what you want for your business right now?
Yeah. I mean, that's like the most important thing to me. All of my side hustles are to support that.
I see. To focus on being more full-time with it, not necessarily to start it, because you've created the curriculum, right?
I've taught 3. Well, it's different there, so they're specialized. So yes, I have created different curriculums, but I've had 3 of them so far, and I need a couple more to finalize all my data points.
Okay. What about like personal?
Hold on now. We're going to go back and forth.
But we can say...
Nah, Doc.
We can say what you want across the board.
So you know what?
I don't even know what I'm going to say yet.
Exactly. And see, Lex is putting me on the spot because she's trying to figure out what she want to say.
Yeah, I got the interrogation line on her.
Right? And this was her idea. Y'all see how she just threw me out there? So, Alexia.
Whoa.
What do you want?
I don't think you've ever said that before.
Alexia? That's how you know it's serious.
I feel like you couldn't even get that out of your mouth right. Y'all see how she's disgusting, right? The real Carlie comes out.
Oh my God. She's over here. Anyways, no pause. So, what would help you move forward in your business right now? What do you want?
What I want is, let me think.
$1 million.
Yes, I want money to focus on the biz dev aspects, in which what I really need is like more internal funding that I can put towards more manpower. So like I just hired a girl to help me with biz dev and getting my own internal stuff on track. Because a lot of times with our work, if you're in like services type work, we are doing all of this for our clients and like not doing my own, like keeping up with my own branding, marketing, creating content, all of those things that I need to be doing. So somebody to keep me on track with that. But what I would do is, there's lots of programs, platforms online that I could be using to make things go smoother as far as what I'm doing for the clients as well as for myself. So there's money that I'll put towards that, money I'll maybe put towards having that person be able to really, really be not just a contractor, but to have more time and really like be a full project manager, like to be a whole nother me. And so like really like if I could have somebody who could be like a full-time person, that'd be cool.
So like a full-time, not assistant, but a full-time project manager?
Kind of like the me. Like they would be the me. So all I do is focus on the like brand and the sales and that kind of thing. Yeah. Whereas they can manage contractors, manage what the projects are, the clients, etc. So I would say I want that money for that / but I'm saying manpower. So / if anybody wanted to intern, but I feel weird about asking for interns because like everybody needs money. But at the same time, if it's something that you want to learn about, then, and you could be dedicated to a couple hours here and there or whatever, I'd always appreciate anybody who wants to intern in digital marketing / the biz dev / like the internal operations of the business as well. What else do I want? I actually want, I think my stuff is like people. I actually want somebody as well to do like content development, so help with developing content, because a lot of times my attention is on other things or client stuff. So if I could have somebody who could develop content, develop series, video, what the graphics look like all of that stuff that would be going out, that would be cool too.
Yeah.
And that could be maybe that same person as well. Outside of that, I would want... Yeah, it sounds like I just want time.
Yeah.
I want time and people.
Because
with all of my projects, it's just like, hey, I want somebody to work on this. I want somebody to work on that. I want somebody to work on this. Like if I knew somebody was like, here's $100,000, what would you do with it? I would put it into the manpower to be able to appropriately delegate certain things, because I have the outlines kind of already done for like, all right, this software I want to build, or this that I want to do, or this program I want to create. But I just need the time and the manpower, honestly. And so now when it's mostly on me and the money I bring in through clients, it is having to choose, all right, focusing on the one thing that makes sense to do to make everything else kind of easier. And I could just be doing more at one time, I think.
That's interesting, because now that I like hear you say that, like, okay, you need the manpower so that you can have the time. That's kind of why I was saying the money, but I think the reason I didn't specify a person is because I don't know how they fit yet. Like you kind of have an idea of where they would go, but I'm not sure. But I would definitely love help like that. But I just
they would
don't know
go
where
into
they would
everything,
go
right? Well, for me, because I know, not that I'm not married to what I do, but like a CEO who has a board and you have all of these people, right? Like all I need is for somebody at the end of the day, hit me with a call like, yo, this is what happened today, you know? And like, I honestly I don't have to
do the day-to-day operations.
Anything. Yeah, anything day-to-day. Because then what I would be doing day-to-day would be things like what we're doing with this podcast. It would be speaking. It would be, writing and more focused on the overall industry of maybe marketing / starting a business / all of those things versus me doing the day-to-day operations of actually a business.
Bro, because operations is not my thing. People have their strengths and you're supposed to operate in your strengths. Day-to-day operations is not mine. I like starting things. I like doing strategy and biz dev, but like the monotony of continuing things, while it's beautiful and the logistics are great and like operating within those systems, I would rather create them and then be like, all right, y'all work on this. I'm gonna go do something else.
So it's weird because what I want, like, so specifically out of people, what I want, I guess now to get to those things would be help with, how do you better hire people? How do you better develop systems and operations and the things that can make things run smoothly? How do you develop like the onboarding or like either not even just somebody to do that or like resources around those things, which I can find again. And then it comes down to like, all right, I got to do it.
It's just doing it.
Now that I have this new young lady who's on my team, that's the kind of stuff that she's going to be helping with working on.
Shout out to the new young lady on your team.
Yep. So I would want some more clients or like a certain level of client to do work with. And I want small business owners that want consulting that I could do week-to-week consulting with, because I really enjoy doing that as well.
When you say week to week, what do you mean?
So one of the services of my company is that we do a Google Hangout every week. You can do either 30 minutes or an hour. An hour makes way more sense because the 30 minutes goes so fast. But once a week. So we meet once a week. And what we're doing is together we are developing your digital social media strategy and like what that looks like, the content, your audience, all of that. And like every week we're just going through, depending on where you are, it could be starting with development or it could be with implementation or whatever, but just carrying it out so that it's something that you are learning for your business and that you are then kind of able to sustain without it being like I'm doing stuff for you.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. So thank you for sharing that. And now we'll continue. What do you want in your personal life right now?
In my personal life, dang, why is money the answer to everything? Oh man, I'm about to be throwing my cash up out here. So I want all of this. I think is the bottom line for more financial security. But like outside of that, for my personal life, I want to get out, explore more events and business things in LA. And I said events and business things, but like business / creative events I really like. So if anybody ever gets an invitation or hears about something where it's maybe like a cool conference, or like I went to Complex Con the other day, shout out, to Rodney, who had an extra ticket and let me have that to go, because I'd never been to that before.
How was that?
It was really cool. There was just so much going on to look at, but it was very interesting if you're really into art / culture / fashion.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be that, but like anything that's interesting where it's a good place to network and just meet new people, I think. Because since I've been in LA, I have not gone to as much stuff here where there's opportunity to like have conversations around business as much as I did in DC.
Mm-hmm.
But that might be what I want the most now, is just getting even more engulfed into LA and going out a little bit more. Like with my personal life, I could say like I think I want to be in a relationship and stuff like that, but that's not for this to be like a call to action, because I don't want nobody to hit me up like that. But yeah, that's what I want right now, is just to get out more. And I can get out more if I have more money and if I have more business. And so like it all connects.
Yeah. For me, I would say that like, money is a factor, but really the thing is freedom, right? So you can have more time, so you can move the way you want to do. Like there's this test and it figures out like what you want most out of life, and freedom is one of them. And that was mine. And it was not expected. It was like love and freedom were my top two. That's me. So it's love, but freedom to move how I want to move. When you were talking about more creative events, like that's what I want. I want to go to more things that, like, I always love investing in myself and learning. And I do that a lot, but finding ways to build a community or become a part of a community around people that already do that, or bringing people together that do that. Like that's really what I want in my personal life, is more creating, more fun, more filling my soul with things. And part of that is also like exploring, doing like a staycation in LA. My birthday's coming up, and I decided instead of traveling,
What day is it so they all know?
December 17th. I turned 30, y'all. Like,
oh my goodness.
30. Man, it's wild. So
I would say dirty 30, but you've been...
I'm flirty 30, thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
So that's coming up. So it's a huge period of reflection for me and growth. So in this season of figuring out what I want and what I need and ways to satiate that, it's just being creative and creating. For my personal life, I'm good.
I just thought of like 3 more things that I want, actually. Because if I was being real specific, one other thing that I want is I want more speaking opportunities in LA.
A second.
In DC, I went to a lot of like, there's like a lot of different organizations where business owners will come to get information. So like I want to speak more to either go into companies and do like a full workshop webinar. Like here's a better ways for your company to use LinkedIn, for example. Here's how to use Google Analytics, whatever it is.
Oh, that's fire.
So stuff like that, because I used to do that a lot more. So I want more speaking. I want more consulting clients, and I want more opportunities to connect with events to be a speaker there too. So I think I want to just speak more and get out more in this area.
Yeah.
Not just flying back to DC all the time.
I'm going to try not to piggyback on all your answers today, but I also enjoy speaking. I really enjoyed hosting that event like last month, Femme and Fortune. That was amazing. I love hosting and speaking. So any opportunities for those, and also opportunities to give back, like that really makes my heart happy. So volunteering, speaking at those events, or maybe curating programs for them. Like I'm also open for those. And always more clients, but the right type of clients.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's getting the right type. And so this is almost kind of reflecting off of our conversation we had in, I think, episode 3 with creating opportunities for yourself as well. So having said these things out loud, and I feel like we kind of thought of things as we were talking.
We did.
How often would you say that you flat out ask for these things in your daily life? Like, have you ever hopped on LinkedIn and been like, hey, what are some resources for making money, or getting a grant, or getting angel investors, or like, have you ever actually expressed some of these things like flat out, or is it just kind of you think about them?
I would say I mostly think about them, but there have been a couple of events that I've attended recently. I went to the Women's Food Service Forum to see them speak and talk about women and the C-suite, and we had to ask for what we want. And then I attended the USC Women's Athena Conference, which was fire. It was amazing. Shout out to Jamie Choi for putting that together. It was a beautiful event. And we had to tell the table tell them what we need. And so, but saying it out loud, like, kind of felt weird to me. And so I realized like that's why like part of me is like,
Does it feel wrong to ask, or maybe not wrong, but what is this weird feeling? Talk about that. Like why is it so unnatural for us? Why do we feel like we can't just say I want this?
I think it depends on the situation. I'm learning to do it in relationships and friendships, and it's been great, but it's really being vulnerable and being okay with maybe not getting what you want or being okay with getting what you want.
Because it could be either way sometimes.
Yeah, it could be either way. And a lot of things around also just in being a woman, like I like to be self-sufficient. And that's not even a woman thing, as a person. I like to be self-sufficient and like to be able to do things on my own. And so sometimes it's swallowing my pride and realizing that I can't do everything by myself and that I do need help and that it's okay for asking for help. Like I'm not a burden to people. I've actually had a like in-depth discussion with a bunch of my friends about this because we're all learning and growing and becoming, you know, who we want to be and who we're working on being. And part of that is owning what you need and being able to walk away from the table if you're not getting it and just being okay with that. And
what does that mean in relationship to the things we've said though? Like what is walking away from the table?
so, okay,
If you want,
for example,
if you want people or want money or something like that for
so
your
if
business.
I'm talking to a client and I'm like, okay, this is how much it is for my services. If they're
I
like,
see.
no, we can't do that. I can either be like, okay, well, this is my, you know, lower rate and I can accept this. But if they don't want to pay that, just being like, okay, well, thank you very much for your consideration and walking away knowing that what's meant for me will be mine and what opportunities I have, like, they're not going to stop and I don't have to accept every client or everything just because it comes up in my life.
I read a quote the other day.
Ooh, quote master Lex.
But I don't remember the quote at all. Just what it came down to. But it was essentially that if you need to be clear about what you want, and essentially everything that comes your way, like as a buffer in between, like you getting to that, like if it's not aligned with that thing that you want, you need to say no. Otherwise, you're kind of letting yourself like stray off that path even more or away from that. So like, yes, maybe I want something and I get another like cool opportunity, but if that's really just going to slow down or kind of hinder like that other thing, even though maybe it's like a quicker dollar right now or something like that, it's like you need to say no to it. Like if you're not saying yes to if you're saying yes to other things, you're not saying yes to what you want, essentially.
Yeah. And I think I tweeted something like that the other day. It's like, whenever you say yes to things, make sure you're not saying no to yourself.
Ah, that's a good one too.
And I think that's Paulo Coelho. But it goes down to, it all boils down to like knowing what you want in the first place. Like our main goal is like identifying what your main goal is so that whenever things pop up, you don't get distracted. Because we said money. Well, money can come in many different forms, but if it's not alignment in your goals and with your success plan and the things you want to do with your life and your business, it's not good money. Like all money is not good money.
And that's why it's like we have to know what we want it for. Like what is it we really want at the end of the day? I think what kind of holds me back sometimes from what I want is that a lot of times I don't super feel clear about what that is because, you know, there are some people, and I don't know where you might fall on this, but there are some people who know exactly like this is the end goal I'm looking for. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Again, you always have to be prepared for like how you get there. You know, it could be weird or different than what you're expecting. But sometimes I'm like, all I know for the end goal for me is I want to be like able to chill and do whatever I want. So like
Freedom.
that's like it's almost kind of so open-ended that it's like, all right, what do I need to do to get there? So like, what am I asking for? But again, if I break that down kind of how we did earlier, there are opportunities where, especially with a lot of our wants being around business, where I could hop on LinkedIn and be more clear about, hey, I'm open for more consulting this month. I actually did that one time and I got a couple people who like hit me up. So it's like, why are you not just saying that you want this? Or I could go on there and say, hey, who works in HR and maybe a certain industry or in this location, I would love an opportunity to come speak, and like saying that. And I guess you're kind of right in that makes you vulnerable because to express that you need something or that you want something is like, it's saying that you need people and that you need things, but we do. Like
we do.
You need your network and you need people who are going to connect the dots the right way, or you even need to be exposed to like who those people are that you need to actually be talking to. So I think it's more important that we do get more comfortable with being vulnerable, even in those types of asks, for sure.
Yeah, in all of them. And I mean, you can't get what you want if you don't ask. A lot of times, like I'm more so thinking about like in a relationship, how do people know what I want or what I need if I don't tell them? That's actually setting everybody up for failure, because I have all these expectations that they don't know about. And I had to learn that, and I'm still working through that. It's very hard for me. I get hella awkward. I'm awkward right now in asking for what I want. And I realized that mine actually stemmed back to when I was a little kid and we were struggling really bad, like with money, and my mom didn't have anything. And I never told her what I wanted for my birthday or for Christmas, just because I didn't want to hurt her feelings because she couldn't do it. And me and my therapist got there, and I realized that now that's why people ask me, oh, what do you want for your birthday? I'm like, oh, nothing, it's good. And I don't even think about it, because I'm like, I don't want to make anybody feel like they have to do this or do that. But by not asking, I'm actually setting myself up for a failure, because nobody knows what I want.
That's interesting, because we were going to talk about today, what are some of those underlying reasons where, especially for people of color, women, we don't express like what we really want. And one of them is because like you think you won't get it anyway, or you're like you don't expect things to go your way, and in your case that's an external factor, because it's like, all right, because I can identify that with that as well, where but I think with my family, it was one of those things where it wasn't until later I realized, like, yo, we were poor as hell, but in the time like my parents had a good way of disguising it, because somehow like it was always something we kind of got, but like it wasn't really like a lot going on. But yeah, like if you've lived a life where, all right, I know there are limits, I know I can't get certain things, then you kind of think, why ask? Or you think, all right, I'm just sticking to the survival basics of things that I need. Like, I want to make sure I can eat tomorrow, like things like that. And you're not trained to think bigger, because you're not used to that being available, or for that being an option,
or for even asking other people for it. Because like, right, even with those, I'm sure we've always dreamed big despite our circumstances, or in spite of our circumstances.
Like, there's somebody out here who can like write you a check for like $500,000 tomorrow if they wanted to, you know what I mean? And it's like, we don't even think about the fact that, oh, it's just a matter of that finding that right person.
Yeah. And it goes without saying that, like, being ready when that opportunity appears, that's a whole other episode, but even asking. And so I really love, in a lot of spaces I've been in lately, they forced me to ask business wise. Like, I was having a meeting with someone the other day, and they were just like, yo, like, if this person, you get to have a meeting with them and they ask you what you want, you need to know what you want, how much, and exactly what you're going to do with it, because otherwise they're not going to invest. Yeah,
and that's where your planning does come into play, and you being clear is important. Another thing, though, why I think a lot of people don't ask for what they want straightforward is, and maybe that kind of goes with not being ready for it. It could, but not feeling like you deserve it. Like a lot of times and I don't know if this is something you ever like straightforward tell yourself, like, I don't deserve this, but it's something that we act upon. Like I feel like you can see it in other people easier when you're like, yo, they can't say something positive, or they can't talk about something without then kind of downing themselves too, or something.
Yeah. And I think this kind of ties into it. I mean, it's huge on self-worth, but also what I've noticed in people of color, particularly women of color, we are not good at humble bragging, because we don't want to humble brag. Like,
I was asking for what you want bragging, though.
Well, what I'm saying is humble bragging in the sense of, if you need a new client, how do I even know what you do if you don't tell me that you have a business?
Oh, right.
That's what I mean. You don't walk into a room like, hello, everybody, I have capitalized social and I do this and I do this. You don't do that because we've been taught like not to brag or not to do this or not to do that. Like, be respectful, be nice, be humble. But being confident in yourself and being humble does not mean not talking about what you do and not connecting with people. Like, it's okay.
That's very true.
And that's how it connects.
Because even now, people like see me often like online and semi talking about stuff, and everybody, when they do finally DM me about something, maybe work related, it's always like, all right, I think you do this, or I know you do stuff with business, but, and I'm always having to continue to clarify. So it's like, wow, like I can still even be even more clear to be like, I do this, I consult on social media, I develop campaigns, I run analytics, like, what are those things? I develop events for social media optimization. And so being very clear, even in your messaging, but at the same time, I know I'm in a good space because people, I know they consider me like almost like some kind of Claire Huxtable type thing, where they always hit me around, like they know some business stuff, right? Like I haven't gotten a wild DM in like literally years, because people hit me on some, they respect ICO grind, this and that,
Yep.
you know, and they respect it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, shout out to y'all for no wild DMs.
But you're right.
This is not an invitation for wild DMs at all.
It's not.
But it is. And I think that that's important to be clear, because for a long time, I was having a conversation with someone. They were just like, "Oh, you just teach yoga, right?" And I'm like, "I mean, I do teach yoga, and that is very amazing.
But there's
and
a bigger
important.
picture.
Yeah, but I do so many other things than that." And they're like, "Oh my God, I would have never known." But people will make a lot of assumptions about you just because you don't be out here walking around with your degrees like a tattoo on your face, which is fine, because that's annoying too. It's like a joke. It's like, how do you know if someone's vegan or does CrossFit? Because they've already told you.
Yeah. But another reason too that I think a lot of people don't just straight up say what they want, and this is all outside of number one, like knowing what you want.
Yeah.
So like I don't even think I need to super go into that one as much. But sometimes I feel like people think you'll get judged, or like people will laugh at you, or that they're gonna air quote hate on you. And I say that in reference to, what do you think would happen if you went online and was like, I want to be rich, or even worse. Well, worse in like italics. I want to be famous. And you see how people do Kim K and all these people all day, every
People
day
will judge
about,
you.
right? Like, oh, like, well, what are they famous for? And this and that. And I'm not taking either side, because I don't care, first of all. But there's this thing where we've let people like shame us into being like, oh, you want to be famous, or you want people to love you or like you, or you just want to be this or that. And it's like, okay, and like, if you want to be well known, you want to be well known. If you want money, you want money. Like, I think it's okay to express that, and I think we need to stop projecting on people to make it a better space and a safer space for them to express what they want. Like, that's perfectly fine if you want to be famous.
Preach.
If you want to be famous for just having a video blog where you do your makeup, if you want to be whatever, it's gonna be a lot of people who's gonna be like, well, what do you even do, or why are you even making money? And bro, you need to worry about making your own money, because they're winning apparently, and they're doing what they want to do and enjoy. So I think it's okay when we keep telling ourselves like it's a shame to want those things. We're really closing ourselves off to getting it. Like, you're closing yourself off to the money. You're closing yourself off to putting yourself out there, to making all these videos you need to make to like get people to like see you, or for you to take off, or whatever you want to do. Like, just do it. So I feel like, and I say that even for me, knowing that I need to like judge less when you see people, and it's terrible. Like, as soon as you get like a tweet that pops off crazy, or you see a video that gets a lot of stuff, you look in the comments, or even with my stuff, like I'll mute things, because it's like the bigger it gets, the more you just start seeing people who just say weird things. It's just weird. It's not even like hating, like I hate you or I don't like you, but it's just like weird comments, and you can tell it just reflects on that person. So when I read stuff like that, I just try to be like, okay, like, it's just weird.
So I think the first part of that is to check yourself on your own projections and how you might feel of other people. So everything starts with self.
Because who doesn't wish they just would like got millions of dollars just for being cool? Like, shit.
Or just being yourself, just waking up in the morning.
If I was Kim K, I'd be like, all right, and like,
Popping.
y'all poor as hell. I'd be like Kris Jenner, like,
I'm about to say Kris
y'all
Jenner.
poor.
But so check your own projections, but also in that, like, evaluating where you might be struggling with your own wants and desires. Like, why is wanting money a dirty thing? I think especially growing up in the church, like, money is the root of all evil.
You have to change how you think about money.
Is the root of all evil. Yeah, and there's a reason. Like, if you grow up really poor, maybe you feel like, I don't know. Let me not sit here and just think
there's a
people,
lot,
but there's just so much to unpack.
Money mindset things that
so many
a lot of us have had to change or need to change.
Very much so. There was a chapter in You're a Badass by Jen Sincero about that, where she talks about like how dirty we feel when we want to talk about fame or money or whatever we want, and why is it dirty? And she just does a really good job of helping you unpack your thinking on that. And I really loved it, because I didn't realize that I had some of the thoughts around money and being successful that I did. But also, even in just doing things like this, someone had commented on something about the podcast, like, oh, you moved to LA and got all big and bad because you started a podcast.
And as soon as people say stuff like that,
I'm like, what?
Like, what are you projecting?
Yeah, why are you mad, bro? Like, chill out.
And that's exactly what we're talking about, right? Like, and one of the reasons we started this podcast, I was like, wow, I get so much information and knowledge from my conversations with Carlie. It'd be cool to get this out here, and especially because it has to do with, things we really care about. These are conversations we really enjoy having with people just in regular conversation. And so for somebody to be like, oh, you done got all big, you done got Hollywood on us. And it's like, okay, like, I don't even know what you're trying to say, but it sounds like that's what you think about me and you wish you were there. But okay, start a podcast, bro. Let me help you out.
Yeah. And I don't get discouraged. Or if people tell you like you're dreaming too big or you're thinking too big, stay away from those people or just don't tell them your dreams.
Please.
Because your vision is not meant for everybody to see.
That's
and you'll
true.
have a lot of people try to clip your wings before you ever even start.
Which is why, like we said, that's one of the reasons that people don't express what they want, because sometimes you're used to an environment where people around you, they don't see the vision. And if they don't see it, it's hard for you to express where you want to go and what you want without people bogging down with their own doubts and their limitations. And that makes you have to be a little bit stronger to like move through that. So I do get it. Sometimes it may be just you writing that stuff down, or maybe you waiting for the right people that you're talking to and having a conversation with where you feel safe to say, oh, these are the things that I want. Or you say, forget all those haters and like you just do what you want anyway, which is what I would say. Like hop online and say like, I want this and I want that.
Screenshot us.
You never know what can happen.
Screenshot us. Tell us what you want. I'm not saying necessarily we can help you, but it's sometimes good just to write the vision, make it plain, and speak it into existence. I'm really big on manifestation and say it and believe it and make it happen. We support you.
And I'm really big on just being a connector of people, period. I know y'all tired of me like tweeting about that shit all the time, but like I really... like anytime somebody adds me on LinkedIn, for example, and I keep mentioning LinkedIn just because that's more like professionally focused. So, when people are having conversations there, it really is around like what they need for their work and what they need for moving forward. But one thing that I had learned was givers gain, and that I talk about all the time. And I always send people their message back, which is something a lot of people don't even do. They don't have those initial combo. But I ask people like, feel free to tell me what you're working on. Like, let me know what you're working on, because that might give me an idea of where I can connect you to somebody or where I can fit in. And I say like, reach out to me if you ever need assistance with anything. And I have a lot of people who will either let me know what they're working on and I can connect the dots somehow, or it's questions about social media and I can obviously give my information that way. But there are so many stories that I have about how that has worked that make me realize, wait a minute, I need to be the one who's more forthcoming about what I want from other people as well. And not necessarily from other people, but I say that in general, like what do I want and need? Because a lot of people don't ask. So I think it's good on this side for me to ask people. And I think that's a good thing too, to ask people when you meet them, when you talk to them, like, yo, what can I do for you? Or what do you need right now? Because even with Carlie talking about what she needs right now I could think about like, oh, I actually do know, somebody who's connected to these angel investors or whatever, just to get any kind of connection going, right?
Yeah.
But before I give my story, since I just did a little spiel, do you have any like specific stories about
connecting? Yeah,
connecting, or how something's worked out?
I mean, there's so many. Like that's the big deal. I was at the hip hop and tech cipher like last weekend before last, and one of the people was explaining what he does. Like he's in school, he's a grad student, and he is looking to make impact somehow in education, and he's a DJ. And I'm like, oh, I have a homeboy from undergrad who got his doctorate in hip hop pedagogy. Shout out to Dr. View for killing the damn thing and just being inspiring. I have one of my neos, one of my like really good friends, Lauren Whiteman, who is working in education, specifically focusing on young Black men, using hip hop in her speeches. Her TED Talk was on hip hop and education and how to connect people. And so shout out to Lauren and Dr. View for doing amazing things. But now I know how to connect him, and all because he said what he needed. And in my head, I was like, okay, I can connect
can't read minds.
Because I can't read your mind, but I love, like you said, I love being a connector of people. I'm more of a connector than other things, but I love like seeing what people need. Oh, I know someone for that. Someone else at the Hip Hop and Tech Cipher has a nonprofit that helps teach underprivileged or underrepresented, I like that word better, youth, how to do audio engineering. And then my homegirl who has a nonprofit who works with music and food and building the community. I'm like, yo, y'all two need to be friends.
Right. And I think that the more you do kind of give and help in that way, and this is not saying go above and beyond. Like if somebody says, I want something or I need something, that's not for you to go and Google and figure it out. This is, oh, well, shoot, I have this person or I know this person. Or,
it's like top of mind.
What you kind of already can just do. My couple of examples are, one, so with one of my clients, his cousin was starting a company and needed a graphic designer. So he asked me like, "Oh, can you connect her?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course. Like I know lots of people who are graphic designers."
Yeah.
She's like preferably a Black woman. And so there was a girl that I knew from Twitter who's really good. And I sent that information to her. Didn't think about it again. She's like, "Oh, thanks." I didn't know if she actually contracted her or anything. And literally like 3 months later, I hear back from that same lady because she's like, "Oh, I actually need social media too." And so now she knew what I did based off of like that email intro to get her the graphic designer. And so then that's how I got to work with the Suit Kits as a client,
wow.
because she was really one of my other clients' cousins. But I, first I just recommended this and like that was it. I wasn't really trying to sell anything or do anything else. And then in one of our first conversations, she was like, "Oh, and I did, like, I hired, that designer, by the way." And like, she's still working with her as well. So that was interesting how that comes back around when, I wasn't really trying to plug myself. I was just putting somebody else in position. And another one, even more recently, and this is kind of part of what sparked this conversation today, is the little homie off of Twitter. And I say that because like, we're not, again, I keep saying this, like, we're not friends. Like, I don't know these people, right? But you have conversations kind of with people who you follow and who follow you. And there's this a guy who had just graduated from college, and he DM'd me and was like, "Oh my, I'm really just struggling with life right now. I just feel like, you're somebody I want to just talk to and get help about direction for finding a job." And he was in tech, more so like computer science, which, and when he first told me this, I was like, "Okay, cool." This is when I was really in that overwhelmed stage. I was like, all right, like maybe we can set something for next week. And he hit me and was like, a couple of days later, was like, "Please, can you please make this time?" And I'm like, all right. So I'm not even gonna lie, I kind of had a little attitude at first. I'm like, bro, like I got a lot going on too. But I had a conversation with him. I noticed a lot of like self-deprecating thoughts and like things like the way he was talking. I was like, okay, I see kind of where some of the issues are about how you're approaching trying to find a job. And you're kind of like, I'm going to take what the world's giving me instead of you having an intent. And like, you're saying you want this, but now you're really saying, well, I'll accept this and I'll accept this and I'll do this and that. I'm like, no, be more intentional or whatever. Anyway, we had a cool conversation, which he was like, "I appreciate I learned more about, the life stuff than the computer science stuff, because what he thought I did is not what I even really do." So I'm like, I can't tell you about cybersecurity because like, I don't really know. But I was like, you know what, send me your resume. I'll post about it and just hit my networks and see if anybody has any leads. And I, on LinkedIn, has said, "Hey, I'm trying to help a recent grad find a career in cybersecurity. If you have any leads, please let me know." And I was not expecting anybody to like really like go ham, but even underneath the post, I had people adding other people. I had somebody who was like the head at Dell, I had IBM.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like all these places,
That's
Deloitte. Awesome. And I was like, oh shoot. Like I was sitting here like, hold on, let me get the job. Let me see what jobs y'all got. But I started forwarding them to him, and he was just like, "Oh, cool." Like, and then a couple of days later, he's like, "Oh, I had a conversation with this person. And within the week, he was like, "I got a job." And then I think a couple of days ago, he hit me, he was like, "I got another job. So now I have options." And I was like, I was in here hyped. I was like, "Yo, you about to be on right now." He's like, "Yeah, it feels really good. Like, even to have the options." And, and I was like, "Well, shoot, now we got to start scheduling like a little monthly like talk or whatever, because I'm invested now." He was like, "Yes, of course, blah, blah, blah." He's like, and I will not forget you. Like, I really appreciate it, whatever. Aww. And I say this not to say like I'm trying to big up myself, but like I was super excited because I was like, people care. I was looking online like, hold up, there's a lot of people like on LinkedIn like hitting me back and like, "Well, has he done this? Has he thought about this?" And even in his conversations, he said he's had some conversations with some of them that weren't even just about getting this job, but like giving him tips and other things. So it's like kind of, talking to people and getting.
It takes a village.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I was like, yo, that was so cool. And that's what made me think like, well, shoot, let me make a LinkedIn stat like, "Hey, I want some clients. Like, I want this, I want that. I want to speak," and really putting that out there. So I thought that was so cool. And I just want that to be a testament to people, like just to reach out. So like how he reached out to me in the first place, to reach out to people and to express and like put it out there, because all those people who put those comments under my status, they're people, some of them are people that, again, in the past I have had like, here's connect to this or that. Mm-hmm. So it's like you kind of create that community around giving, and it always comes back around to you in whatever way.
And shout out to him for asking and having the courage to ask. And you could have not replied, but he put himself out there anyways. It was being very intentional. Shout out. That's amazing. Congratulations, yo.
Yeah, I was hyped because then when he hit me, I was like, "Oh, I got another one." I was like, shit, well, look, let me get some. I'm about to switch career paths.
Right.
and another girl who went to Elon, I think she just graduated a couple of years ago. She hit me on LinkedIn too and was like, hey, can you be, I'm interested in you being my mentor. And, can you just have a conversation with me about marketing? Because she wants to switch career paths from like performance arts to more of marketing business. So I was like, all right. Again, like sometimes I'm like, I feel like I'm so busy, but I am learning to step out of that and enjoy those conversations. But I talked to her and we had a good conversation. And at the end, though, what she said, I appreciated. She was like, well, I want to be able to give back to you too. So let me know like what you need. And I was like, oh, well, I need this and this and biz dev, whatever. And she's like, oh, okay, well, there's some things that, she could help with. And also she asked me a question I thought was interesting. She was like, well, if I hadn't gone to Elon, like, why would you have answered me? Or would you, like, what should a person do to even get you to answer? And then I was like, like, it doesn't even register to me because for me, anybody who hits me up, I mean, as long as it's not like some weird attitude or anything, anybody who hits me up, like, I was like, yo, I'm never, even with my work, with social media, I'm never trying to hold stuff back. Like, whatever I can do and have time to talk about or give people, I'm going to give them. And I think it was interesting how she just was like kind of amazed by that or shocked by that. And maybe we are used to people just not having time or not responding.
Yeah, I feel like it's more so in our heads than it actually is people not responding. But at the same time, when I was applying for jobs before I decided to go full entrepreneur in grad school, I didn't know that people just didn't even reply after you sent your resume and followed up with them. They just won't respond. And so that was, really humbling. But I mean, still put yourself out there. The people who are meant to be in your life will be in your life.
Right.
And so just trust in that.
Yeah, because I mean, when people don't respond or people can't give you what you want or what you need, then that's fine. But you've done your part to put that out there.
And you're putting it out to the universe. And I think as soon as you put yourself out there, and that's like happened in my life time and time again, as soon as you put yourself out there, like it definitely comes back tenfold.
Yep. So just do what you can do. Don't go out of your way for everything, but do what you can do. So those stories and that combo being said, I think Carlie has some homework for you.
I do. I have some homework and I'm so excited.
Oh, gosh.
So in order to manifest what you want, you have to be clear about what you want and really think through that. As y'all have heard me and Lex kind of talked through ours, like we thought we knew, but then we figured out there were some more things. And so the more clear you are, the better. And I believe that there's so much power in writing things down and speaking them out loud. And so if you're working on things or thinking through what you want in your life, I have 2 little challenges for you. The first one is to journal and just think about, I'm only going to say a couple questions here. I'll send it out in the newsletter, so make sure you subscribe on carliescouch.com. Subscribe?
Oh, they said prescribe. And I was like, what?
Subscribe? I mean, I kind of stumbled over it.
Oh.
But I didn't say prescribe at all.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'll have a funny, okay, later. But make sure you subscribe for our newsletter. I'll send it out there with all the questions. But a couple of them are like, what makes you excited? Like in your free time, what type of activities do you like to do? What do you want to experience? What do you want to acquire? What is stopping you? These are just some of the things. I'll send out the full list. So that's the first part, is journaling and actually writing things down. Scientifically, it's proven like if you write things down, it connects a little bit deeper with your mind and you actually remember it better.
And challenge yourself to go deep too, because we can say like, all right, I want money, I want a house, I want a car, but like, what does that really connect to? Because that's a good way to connect back to your why, which helps you to like have the energy to move forward
and to have the foundation. Because if you say I want this, but you don't know why or what it's going to do for you, it's
like what are you going to do with that money?
You're just speaking it into nowhere. So actually understanding why and how it ties into your vision, but also being very specific. Okay, what kind of car do you want? A 1800s? Like, no. And then the second part is to do a vision board. Either you can like go old school and cut out magazines and do it, or new school, like Pinterest type thing, and just really envision your life and what you want to manifest. I think that is so important. So that is my homework for you. Like I said, subscribe online at carliescouch.com to the newsletter. We'll send out a nice little worksheet for that. And then I have my shout out. Dun, dun, dun. My shout out is Tyvette Symone. She is a mixed media artist in Brooklyn. Also my best friend. She just had her first exhibit called Harvest Moon.
Cool.
Yeah, called the Harvest Moon. And it was phenomenal. She uses crushed crystals, feathers, flowers, It's just beautiful. Her art is amazing. You can check her out at Tyvette Symone, TyvetteSymone on Instagram. And then the venue that housed her exhibit is called Seven House in Brooklyn, and it is absolutely beautiful. So if you're looking for event space, do you know how long it's going to
be up, or is it over?
Oh, the exhibit is over.
Oh, okay.
But the event space, I wanted to list them because that's also one of the homies who has this event space that's
cool.
very affordable. So if you are looking for event space for conference, a talk, a book club, a party, whatever, check out Seven House, and it's in Brooklyn.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And now you know what time it is. Question of the day. Question of the week. Oh, it is question of the week.
Yeah,
Why'd I write question of the day? Well, it's the question of today when you're listening to this.
Dun, dun, dun.
Carlie, what are you really so afraid of? That's the question. What am I really so afraid of? Think about that for yourself. What does that look like to you?
Am I answering?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Unless you don't want to.
No, I do. I just didn't know. It's just like a
dramatic pause.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I'm stumbling. I'm excited. I am scared, I think, more so of success than failure. Like what happens whenever I get it all? What happens whenever I achieve my dreams and am successful? I think there's a part of me that is scared I won't know what to do with it or won't handle it correctly. And that's an underlying fear. Like logically, I know it doesn't make sense, but it's definitely something that I'm working through.
Okay.
What about you, Lex? What are you afraid of?
I am afraid of being stuck in the rat race. I am afraid of not transcending the cycle of like killing, eating what I kill, like we talked about before, and of getting to a space where I really, maybe really do have even more like the financial freedom to do like whatever I want to do, and to take care of like my family and all of those things too.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. So what are you really afraid of? What are you so afraid of? Think about that this week.
And what do you want? And who are you going to tell?
Bow.
Think on that.
Screenshot, hashtag Carlie's Couch, tag me and Lex. Let us know you're listening. Thank you for all the thoughtful reviews and have an amazing week.
And I'm not in jail if you didn't notice. No need for the
She just
airbrush
got
t-shirts.
But if you got a good plug on the airbrush t-shirts,
I just got
let
out.
us know.
Wow. Bye, y'all.